U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken met with Chinese President Xi Jinping today in Beijing as the two look to ease tensions between the countries.
Both sides claim to have made progress on some specific issues. But Secretary Blinken says there is still significant work to be done. He sat down with Face the Nation moderator Margaret Brennan to discuss China's refusal to move forward in reestablishing military-to-military communications.
An aspect of that really is important is military to military. We don't have an agreement on that yet. It's something we're going to keep working. I made very clear to our Chinese counterparts the importance that we attach to that, something that is also profoundly in their interest, because again, we both agree that we want to, at the very least, make sure that we don't inadvertently have a conflict because of miscommunication, because of misunderstanding.
Joining us now is Michael Swaine. He is a senior research fellow and expert in China and East Asia security studies for the Quincy Institute. Thanks very much for being with us. So what did the U.S. hope to get out of these talks? And did Secretary Blinken accomplish those objectives?
Well, the U.S. was very clear about what it hoped to get out of these talks. It wanted to be able to communicate U.S. concerns about Chinese behavior to China very clearly. It wanted to indicate that it wants to avoid conflict with China. It wanted to begin talking about certain areas of cooperation with China. And on these different points in broad terms, I think they succeeded. They had a meeting. They showed that communication channels are open. They conveyed their views and interests to the Chinese and identified areas where they differ and where they might not differ. And they laid down some markers for where they might have cooperation in the future. So on that score, I mean, it's encouraging that this meeting occurred for sure. The tone, the messaging is in many ways much improved over what we've seen in the past, with less of the posturing and the finger pointing that's been going on. But in all honesty, this meeting should have occurred about 2 years ago. And it is really only the beginning of a process that faces many hurdles that are still in place on both sides.
Michael, as you mentioned, this is the very first steps. Beijing has had a solid relationship with Moscow for years. How can it navigate its ties with Russia and the U.S. at the same time?
Well, that's a real challenge for China right now, for sure, because of the Ukraine war. The Russian invasion of Ukraine was not something the Chinese wanted. I don't think it's something that they entirely expected, and they've certainly not been happy with the way it has evolved. And they want to be able to maintain their support for Putin and for Russia, because geostrategically, in the broader scheme of things, that does assist them, they believe, in their competition and counterbalancing with the United States and with the West. But they don't want to get drawn into that conflict in ways that will direct greater fire at them from Europe and from the United States, for sure. And at the same time, they want to try and maintain decent relations with the West, with the United States, and with Europe. And this meeting was really a first step to try to balance in that direction towards the United States, to try to increase stability on that front, while at the same time, hopefully, being able to contribute in some way to downsizing the tension and instability regarding the Russia-Ukraine problem.
Well, Michael, what do you think the United States needs to do in the follow-up talks with China to better the relationship?
Oh, I think they need to have a persistent, consistent series of meetings, both at the larger senior level and at lower functional levels, to identify in much greater detail where exactly they have differences, and specifically identify what are the asks, what are the different things in trade, technology, the business climate, Taiwan, crisis communications, climate. There's a whole host of issues. What are the asks for both sides? Where do they want to see changes, both on the other side and in their own policies? Are they willing to recognize that in order to reach some kind of stability and some kind of progress in policy areas, they need to go beyond more, way more than just keeping lines of communication open and talking in general terms about wanting to improve the relationship and identify areas of cooperation. We need to move well beyond that to really talk in concrete terms about what we expect of each side, where we think we need to have changes, both in ourselves, in our own policies, and in the policies of the other. That kind of dialogue has yet to begin.
All right, an important day between China and the U.S. Michael Swaine, thank you.
You're welcome.